So here we are, everyone. We're in part 2 of our exciting teaching series on practical spirituality. We started last week going in this journey, and next week we will do part 3. Today we'll get into part 2, and we'll try the goal for the day and the intention is to put, as best we can, the practical in practical spirituality. Last week we established a definition for practical spirituality. It is the use of spiritual laws and tools in such a way to cause one to develop a consciousness of oneness with God, and then in turn express that consciousness in everything that we think, say, and do. So the key here is to develop a mindset where we see, sense, feel, and know that we are, as a birthright, one with God. It comes as part of the spiritual hardware and software. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to qualify for it. You don't have to give a testimony. You are born one with God. That might sound a little blasphemous to some of us who have been taught in traditional forms of theology that something is required in order to establish this connection. Charles Fillmore had the audacity to suggest that we have this oneness as a birthright. And I'm rolling with Charles because I think it's right. Practical spirituality. On the next slide, we want to talk about some of the teachings of Jesus. We talked about spiritual laws last week, and we talked about the fact that Unity's approach to Christianity is what is known as practical Christianity, a brand of Christianity that takes the theology and situates it in such a way to where we can live the principles of Christianity in our day-to-day lives and on a day-to-day basis. So I want to talk about these few scriptures here. The first one is from Luke 17:21, where we are reminded that the kingdom of God is within us. It's not over there. It's not at WSU. It doesn't reside in Washington, D.C. Remember, God is everywhere present. The kingdom is within us, each and every one of us. And it is our Father's good pleasure, or the divine's good pleasure, to give us the kingdom. So, again, it's part of the spiritual hardware and software that we are one with God. That kingdom is within us. Ask and it will be given. Search and you will find. Knock and the door will be open unto you. So this kingdom of God, or this Christ presence within us, or the spark of God within us, we can know all of the good that it is designed to bring to our lives simply by making a claim on it. That is the correct form of asking, not putting it in the form of a question. Since God is giving us the kingdom and it's God's good pleasure to do so, the kingdom is within us. So if we want to experience that kingdom in our relationships, that kingdom in our career or work life, we want to experience the kingdom in our community life, in our neighborhood, among our neighbors, we can tap into that goodness by asking, i.e., claiming the good that God has already bestowed within us. If you have a tool in your toolbox and you need to use a hammer, you don't ask to use the hammer. You go to the toolbox and get the hammer. It's yours. You're claiming it. And then you're claiming it for use in your life for your benefit. So, Art, what are you saying? Is God just there to bless our personal whims and desires? What I am saying is that God is living through you. For as much as we are living life, the real reality is that life is living us. And you are God's living enterprise. God is seeking to experience and express itself in, through, and as you. And because of that, certain provisions are allowed for you to experience that bountiful life, because as you dream, God is dreaming through you. As you love, God is loving through you. As you are embracing life, God is expressing life through you. You are God's living enterprise. That's why that works. So when we take all these and we think about spirituality, in reality, spirituality is not something that we do. We are spiritual by nature. And so the goal of this lesson in practical spirituality is to essentially be who we are, to incorporate our Christ nature and spiritualize our minds and live and self-identify from that place. In reality, as our statement of being suggests, there is only one presence and one power. In reality, there is only one thing that lives. In reality, there is only one mind, God mind or divine mind. The mind that we self-identify with within our own being is an aspect of God mind. There is only one. To the degree and extent that I understand that my mind is an aspect of God mind, I am more so embracing a consciousness of the oneness that I have as a birthright, not a religious right, with God. To the degree and extent that I do not understand my oneness with God, to the degree and extent that I do not understand that my mind is an individuation of God mind, that renders me with a mind that is divorced from spiritual understanding. Charles Fillmore referred to this kind of mind or this kind of consciousness as race consciousness. It is the consciousness of my mind being separated from God. It is the consciousness where I am conditioned to believe that the physical level and reality of existence is ultimate reality. The physical is the absolute. Other names for this kind of consciousness is ego mind or mortal mind. And life is limited to the physical in this way of thinking. When it comes to myself, however I understand myself from the sum total of my upbringing and my experiences and what I've been told about myself, that's the mind that I'm effectively functioning with. If that mind is grounded in fear, then my consciousness is grounded in fear, and I will live accordingly. I will live small. I will play small. Or, if I'm really imbalanced, I will over-leverage myself and seek to control outside things and people and conditions and circumstances in a warped attempt to bring peace and contentment to my own mind. Race consciousness mind, mortal mind, ego mind is a mind that is divorced from God mind realization. So the key is to keep our minds spiritualized so that whatever we take in from our five senses, however we understand the world, we are experiencing a divine channel of guidance, understanding, and wisdom. So not only do we evaluate things for what we see, God mind allows us to evaluate things and understand what is behind what we see, what gives rise to what we see, what is the spiritual root and understanding of what it is that we see. It's literally the difference between seeing things in 2D and 3D. Because God mind gives us depth. It gives us grounded understanding for what it is that we are experiencing. And the way that we ensure that we stay in a God consciousness is through the activity of prayer. There are many different ways and different forms of praying. And if we go to the next slide, we'll see here Unity's 5-step prayer process. So this is an attempt, and this is a technique that we can use to keep our minds spiritualized. The first step is relaxation. We relax the mind, relax the body. We allow our physicality to become de-emphasized so that the presence of God can be emphasized in our minds and in our hearts. So we relax. The next is concentration. In this concentration, we call forth an awareness of the presence of God. The presence of God as life, love, wisdom, and understanding. And this is a presence without an absence. There is no place you can go where God is not. There is no such thing as God-empty spots that exist in the universe, especially right where you are. And to that end, that's a great segue into the meditation piece. That presence of God, that very presence that causes the planets to hurl on their course, that causes the blade of grass to grow, that very same presence is within each and every one of us. Not God out there, God within. And once we start getting this realization that the presence of God is right where we are, it is from this stage where we can ask or claim for the things that we're wanting to experience. I'm wanting to experience healthy relationships or perfect health. Now I am asking in the way of making a claim. So this is an affirmative approach to prayer. In the realization phase, I'm going deeper into a meditative place to where I'm beginning to rest in God, rest in the knowing that God is present, and what I am asking for and claiming is not only possible, it's already done in spirit. Very audacious, I know. So in that realization, and then the last step is giving thanks, expressing appreciation, being grateful for that intimate time with God, being grateful for being a channel through which and in which God can express. And then we cap it off with a simple amen, or so it is. Now I want to say this. We can use this in formal moments of prayer when we stop and pause. I would like to suggest to each and every one of you that you are praying all the time, not just in formal moments of prayer. As long as you have a mind that is always contemplating, reflecting, thinking, concentrating on things, you are always in formal prayer, whether you are sitting in the silence or whether you are mowing the lawn, whether you are eating or whatever you're doing. We are always in prayer. More on that in a minute. Now, let's get practical here. I am currently in prayer for perfect health. Recently, I went to the doctor and had my physical and found out that I have high blood pressure, which runs in my family, and sky-high cholesterol. So, as doctors do, they want to prescribe medicine. So I accepted the prescription, but I also accepted the invitation to step into more perfect health. So I've been praying for perfect health. I have been praying to know God's wholeness and well-being and claiming it as my own. And I'm taking the medication, at least for now. So, as I am praying and as I am knowing and as I am thinking, I'm constantly affirming that God is my source for perfect health. God is my source. God is the healing agency. So every day when I take the medicine, I don't just get water and swallow it. I first say a prayer to affirm that God is doing the healing. The medicine is simply a tool to organize and condition my body so that the healing intelligence of God that is already present within me can work optimally. When I understand that God is my source of healing and source of perfect health, I'm operating in God mind. If I'm putting my faith in the medicine, not saying that medicine is not valuable, but if I see the medicine as my source of healing, now I'm operating in mortal mind, ego mind, because it's the physical medicine. That's where the healing is coming from. And when I'm taking it, the healing energy is transferred from the medicine into my body. God is the healer. The medicine works with my body to arrange and situate and organize it so that the healing intelligence can work more optimally. So I'm affirming. I use affirmations. This is a tool that we use in Unity. Perfect health is mine. God is healing me now. Every cell of my body is resonating in perfect health. I speak affirmations which are statements of truth that align my mind with God consciousness. Now, as it aligns my mind with God consciousness, it opens the channel for healing to take place. It opens the channel for God healing to flow more optimally in my life. As I'm continuing to pray and affirm perfect healing, divine ideas are coming to me about additional things that I may do to optimize my health. Thoughts of exercise, thoughts of improving my diet, thoughts of surrounding myself with more loving people so that I can experience more healthy and perfect relationships, because that has a bearing on health. So these divine ideas of health and wholeness are now flowing. And when I act on them, I am further conditioning myself so that God's source healing can work in me more optimally. Hope this is making sense so far. Now, as I said, I'm praying all the time. If it is very possible, and all of us have done this at least at some point, in my formal moments of prayer, I'm holding the space and praying for goodness to flow in my life. But every other minute, when I'm not in formal prayer, I'm experiencing thoughts of doubt, thoughts of the opposite of what I'm praying. So if I'm in formal moments of prayer affirming health and wholeness, but then in my other moments, I'm affirming sickness and lack and limitation. If I'm doing that, my dominant prayer energy, even though I'm in my formal moments of prayer, I'm praying for the highest and best and the good to flow. In my formal moment, in my non-formal moments of prayer, I'm thinking the opposite of that. So my dominant prayer energy is going towards the opposite of what I'm praying for in my formal moments of prayer. When I do that, I am effectively praying the problem. I am praying what I don't want. The formal moments of prayer are designed to strengthen my mind so that when I'm in my other activity, I stay in that consciousness. And when I feel myself slipping out of that, that is when I use the tool of affirmations to get myself back. When I have those thoughts that are less than perfect health, I can tell those thoughts to be gone. Those thoughts are not the truth of me. Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of the Unity Movement, after a diagnosis of tuberculosis, came with the affirmation for herself that I am a child of God. Therefore, I do not inherit sickness. And it can be effectively argued that that is the affirmation that the entire Unity Movement rests upon. I'm affirming health and wholeness. And as I continue that, then eventually that health and wholeness I'm experiencing it more and more in my life. So I'm effectively expecting and claiming that the next time I get a checkup, my blood pressure and cholesterol levels will be where they're supposed to be. Because I am calling that forth and calling that into existence. We can use this for whatever we're wanting to manifest in our lives. If you want more abundance, financial abundance, or otherwise, we can call it into our experience. If you want to manifest your dreams, we can do this to manifest our dreams. If you want more loving relationships in your life, healthier relationships, we can call this forth and know that this is the truth for ourselves and actually experience those things. This is practical spirituality. Not so much something that we do, although there is a doing process. The ultimate goal is to live and experience what God has for us. It is God's good pleasure to give you, give me, give us the kingdom. So what would you like to manifest in your life? What would you like to demonstrate? Knowing that what it is that you want to demonstrate that is of your good, that is the equivalent of God wanting to experience itself through your demonstration of what you want to bring about. Spiritualize your mind and then claim what it is that you want. When those thoughts come up that are less than what you are and less than what you want, deny them. Tell your mortal mind to be gone. Deny those thoughts and do not claim those thoughts as being the truth of you. Affirm what is true, that God is looking to experience and express goodness in, through, and as you. This, in a nutshell, is how practical spirituality works. A really simplified example, but as we work with these principles, as we work with these laws, we can experience more and more good, more and more blessings, more and more benefits to our lives. It will put a smile on our face, but more importantly, it will put a smile on our hearts. This is for you. God is expressing something beautiful in, through, and as each and every one of your beautiful selves. And the more people know this, and the more people take to this, the better world we can have. Practical spirituality. As always, I hold you all in very sacred space, and into that space I speak a word of prayer. Life, light, and love to you all. God bless you.